Okay, guys, welcome to our first Empower Cooking Club. So, as I said, next week you get Shine, the week after you get Super Mario, and the week after that, Sprite's mom, Paula, who is actually a chef. So, it will get better week on week. So, this is our rough beginning, and I'm your host for tonight. So, I've pre-washed some of ingredients just to save a little bit of time here. But here's my vegetables. I have onion, mushroom, one stalk of celery, one carrot, and one hot pepper. You don't have to have a fresh hot pepper. You could use powdered. We often use powdered instead, but whatever you like. And it depends on how hot you like it. I'm in a Korean household, so people like hot. So we like ours to be spicy, but not everybody does. Those are the vegetables, and then I have our ground chicken. I find the chicken is better than ground turkey. It has a little bit more fat, which is better for the texture. And then we have our seasonings here. Trying to angle you so you can see. And most of this is not mandatory. Most of it is to flavor or to add some color to the dish. So you don't have to be too upset if you're missing one piece. And then you realize I'm missing one thing, I'm going to grab it in a moment. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the onions and the mushrooms because I like to pre-cook them for this, and I like them to be a little bit softer and almost caramelized. So I'm going to start there, which means I'm going to heat up my frying pan. Now, I recommended in the ingredients list that you have coconut oil, but after the fact, I thought it would be really great if you have bacon grease. It would be even better. It would taste better. I don't have any, so I'm going to go with coconut oil for the pan. Now, we don't want to cook with canola oils or safflower oils or those types of oils ever. Okay, so if you have those in your fridge, throw those out now. Those are killing you and your family. If you want to know more on it, I can refer you to some books on what those oils actually do inside your body, but you want to stick with natural oils like olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, lard, bacon grease, that sort of thing, not with the artificial manufactured oils. So I'm not going to get into that now, but that's a huge health piece, and it's one of the major health issues that we're facing today. And there's a lot of good science on that to understand how to react in the body. So we're going to use coconut oil today. I'm going to put my skillet on, and I like to use a pan for this, or some kind of skillet, something shallow. If it's too deep, I find it gets kind of watery. So I'm going to put it on medium for right now, and put in some coconut oil. And I'm going to chop the mushrooms and the onions. So you can start preparing onions and mushrooms along with me if you like. Those of you who have ingredients. I should tilt this a little bit.
Would you have a substitute for the mushrooms if somebody didn't really enjoy them very much?
Leave them out. They're not key to the dish.
Okay.
I just happen to like them, and I like onions, but I don't like too much in this dish, so I only use a little bit for a little bit of extra flavor, but they're not necessary. And you could put in something like peppers instead if you like them. I hate peppers, so I don't cook with them, but they would be fine in this dish. So I'm just slicing up the onions, and I like, in this dish, I like to have them small. Sunhee and Kaylin like them bigger, and so they'll chop them less, and that will work too. So everything about this dish is really, really flexible, so you chop it the way you like it. I'm going to kind of dice mine up. Just a really messy dice. I'm going to get my mushrooms ready as well. And again, I like the mushrooms in smaller pieces, so I'm going to slice them. Because even though I kind of like mushroom flavor, I'm like that person in your family, Pepper, who doesn't love too much mushroom. So I like to minimize it a little bit. I was a horrible vegetarian because I hated all vegetables. Sung-hee couldn't understand how I was a vegetarian. I didn't like any vegetables. I just like bread and dairy and berries. Basically, fruit, bread, and dairy was what I lived on. Now, you're probably, most of you, more accomplished in the kitchen than I am, but you will notice, if you haven't seen this before, the technique for chopping I use is actually from the restaurant industry, where I use my knuckles to guide. That way, there's no chance of chopping off any pieces of my fingers, which I think is an important part when I'm cooking. I'm not so good with a knife that I want to put my fingers at risk. So if you always follow your knuckles like so, can actually go really fast. In the Chinese restaurants I worked at, you couldn't even see the knife move. The chefs were just bam, 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 and they never chopped their fingers because they always used the knuckles to guide the knife. I thought that was a pretty clever trick. So I'm gonna throw my mushrooms and onions into the pan now and get them cooking as we move on to other ingredients. Turning the heat up to about medium-high right now. I'm going to run to my fridge for a moment because I forgot to grab the garlic. I'll be right back.
Rocky, are you cooking?
What's that?
I was asking Rocky if she was cooking.
I think she is. Yeah, she's cooking.
Yeah, I'm excited for this dinner.
Fantastic. Me too. So we have a little bit of time to kill while things cook here. I like the mushrooms and onions to be a little bit better done. Again, this is to taste. Sung-hee and Kaylin like the onions a little bit more raw than I do. I like them better cooked, so I'm going to give them a few minutes here. But while we're having that happen, I can pre-chop my carrots and celery. The carrots and celery I'm only going to add at the very end. For this dish, I don't like them very cooked. I like them to be, so I'm adding them for color and for crunch for this dish. And again, peppers could do the trick as well if you like peppers. And I'm going to cut them on an angle, and this is a Chinese style of chopping, so it kind of lengthens out the vegetable a bit. I don't know if you can see that cut that ends up being kind of long. What is the angle on the carrot? This is used in a lot of stir fries, is how they'll cut it.
Yeah.
And because I'm not going to cook these a lot, I'm cutting them fairly thin. And I'm going to cut the celery the same way.
No, you're not on the screen.
It's okay.
No.
I apologize. I'm going to turn on the fan a little bit. I hope it's not too distracting.
Corey.
Yeah.
Hey, Corey. If we're using fresh ginger and garlic, should that go in with the onions and mushrooms?
You can if you wish. Yeah, absolutely. I sometimes add it at this time and sometimes with the meat. But since my mushroom and onion isn't ready, I'm going to start adding some of that now. Not, oh, you know, I should probably get some ginger out too. I'm going to add in the garlic right now. Rocky, how's yours looking? Are you okay there?
Yeah, I can definitely add some garlic.
Okay.
Should I just mince it up?
Okay, I'm going to add in some garlic right now, and I'm going to grab the ginger, and I'm going to pre-slice the ginger as well.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are you browning the onion, or are you just making it completely?
I'm going to brown it. Yeah, so I'm going to do it a little bit darker than this yet.
Okay.
That person isn't moving.
And I've got minced garlic here, but you could use powdered garlic or fresh garlic, any garlic, however you like it. And again, it's to taste, so it depends on how much you want. I'm going to make it a little bit garlicky because we like garlic. So I've got a fresh ginger, and again, you could use powdered ginger if you like. I'm going to use a fresh because we have a lot of it. I'm going to stir here a little bit. I'm going to pre-slice the ginger, but I'm not going to add the ginger yet. I'm going to hold the ginger for a little bit.
Good. Good protein there.
It's gonna be ground chicken we couldn't get yesterday.
So my mushrooms and onions are starting to get a little bit done. So I'm going to turn down the heat to medium. And I'm going to go ahead and pre-slice my ginger. Again, this is to taste. So if you love ginger, use a little bit more. If you don't, use a little bit less. You can chop it thick if you like, or thin. I don't like biting down on a big chunk of ginger. So I dice mine quite fine, so it disappears into the recipe. But if you love the taste of a big chunk of ginger, like Sung Hee does, you don't have to chop it so finely. But I'm going to do it really fine. I'm going to hold that up for you. I don't know if you can see that, but I've chopped the ginger reasonably fine there. So once I get it in there and it cooks, it will be, it'll disappear in there. And then I'm going to use a hot pepper. I don't know if you guys have chili peppers or some kind of powder or fresh ones. I'm going to chop up mine now because I'm almost ready to add in my meat, and I'm going to want that pepper to go in with my meat. And again, I'm going to do the pepper in pretty small pieces because I don't have the same tolerance for heat that my son and wife do. They wouldn't mind bigger chunks of pepper. It would make me cry, and I've got Korean taste buds, but a Canadian nose, and it starts to run pretty badly when I get a big chunk of hot pepper.
What kind of pepper is that?
It was just a red chili pepper. I'm not sure what. I'm not that picky about my pepper. I use whatever what I can grab. So we had this in the freezer. They freeze quite well, these chili peppers, so you can keep them for quite a long time. They come in a small package, and I find for me a small package goes a long way because I don't use very much. I'm only using one little pepper. I'll show you what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Thai red peppers.
Oh,
So they're not
okay.
too big.
Yeah.
But you don't have to use these in particular. I've used the same recipe with different styles of pepper. So I just used one for this one. How are you guys looking? Is your mushrooms and onions looking browned and ready?
Yep.
Yeah. If so, you can throw in your chicken now. and we can throw in our pepper at the same time as the chicken.
Chicken and what, he said?
The pepper as well, the hot pepper.
Who wants to drink chicken juice? Come on.
I'm going to turn my heat up a little bit now that I've got chicken in here. I'm going to go to medium-high again. I'm going to let it cook just a little bit to let that chicken brown a little bit before I add in my next spices, but I'm going to get them ready. So I've got honey ready. I've got some turmeric, and the turmeric is strictly for the color. It gives it a beautiful golden color to the chicken. And then I'm going to use some paprika, and the paprika adds this nice dash of red to go along with the yellow turmeric. And I'm going to use some parsley flakes, which gives a sprinkling of green on top of that red and yellow. And it somehow tastes better just because it looks better. But what I will need for the taste, I will need some salt or some soy sauce. And I'm actually going to use a little bit of both today. I love the soy sauce color in here. It just makes the chicken look a little bit browner than it actually is. And it's just appealing to look at. So I want to mix it up really well, the onions, the mushrooms, the hot peppers, and my chicken. And I want to wait till that chicken is starting to be cooked. I don't want to add my seasonings yet while it's still raw. So I need another minute or two. Rocky, how's your, do you still need a minute or two for yours?
Yeah.
Same for you, Pierce? Yeah, okay.
I'll need a few minutes to cook it.
Okay.
It's making me hungry.
Yeah, me too.
Good.
I feel sorry for the people watching along who aren't cooking because at the end, you don't get the payoff.
Yeah. Thanks.
My favorite thing in home ec was always my favorite class because at the end I got to eat whatever. That's a real motivation to do a good job in class. I'm going to start adding a little bit of salt and some soy sauce. My chicken is getting close to done, so I'm going to begin adding some flavoring.
Should I have already entered the ginger? I don't think I've done that yet.
No, I'm holding the ginger still for just a little
Okay.
bit. But we'll add it soon. I'm going to get the soy sauce in here first.
Oh.
And again, this is all to taste. So some people prefer it saltier, some people prefer salty. Go with what works for you. I usually have Kalen come and sample it for me and tell me what I should do. He's much better at this stuff than actually Sung Hee or I. he's got a really great taste, and he knows how to balance dishes very well. So he's my favorite taster. If you have one of those in the family, please make a little cooking. So my chicken is almost cooked, so I'm going to add my ginger now so I can start getting some of that ginger flavor in. So Fierce, how's it looking there? You still need a few minutes for that chicken to get done?
Yes.
Okay, no worries. Rocky?
Yeah, I'm good to go, but I can turn it down and carry on.
Okay. So when the chicken is starting to look cooked, now I'm going to start adding some of my coloring. I'm going to use my turmeric and my paprika, and I'm basically just adding it to color. I'm going to start with the turmeric first until I can get a nice, even golden look to the entire dish. So I'm going to sprinkle it in and mix it. By the way, turmeric, they're finding, is a fairly potent antiviral, general antiviral for all viruses. It slows down the virus's rate of reproduction in the system. So it doesn't prevent viruses from getting in, but it makes it harder for them to colonize your body. So that's a good thing to know in times like these. I'm starting to get a fairly uniform golden color here with the turmeric. Now I'm going to start adding in some of that paprika. And again, this is not so much for the taste as just for the nice red hue that it gives to it. But it tastes good too. I'm watching Fierce over there with 2 helpers and a baby strapped to her, and I feel like such an underachiever. Look at her go.
I think she gets extra points.
Sung-hee asked if she could help me in the kitchen. I sent her for a walk instead because I couldn't handle having 1 helper. I don't understand how this is possible, but very impressive, Fierce. I'm going to turn my heat down a little bit. Mine's starting to get a little bit brown, so I'm going to turn it down to just slightly above medium. And now I'm going to add my honey. So if your chicken's not yet cooked, I would keep cooking it until you're starting to brown a little bit. But now I'm going to add honey, and I'm adding to taste. So if you like sweet, you're going to want probably 3 tablespoons approximately. If less sweet, maybe 1 to 2. And again, this is where having a taster comes in handy because they can really tell you where they want that flavoring to be. And now we're going to melt that honey in there and mix it around to get it all evenly in. And in terms of the heat, what you're looking for with this is you want it to be hot enough that at this stage, you're starting to see the last of the liquid evaporate out of the bottom. This is supposed to be a dry dish, not supposed to have a lot of liquid left. And that's why I don't like to use a deep pot. If you use a pot, you'll end up with a lot of liquid left at the end. And that's why I go to a medium or medium-high heat until most of the liquid's burned off. And then you can turn it down. I'm going down to medium right now. Good. How's yours looking, Rocky?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm done. All my liquid's gone, so.
Okay, and Fierce, how about you?
Very good.
Okay. So if you've got the honey in and the liquid is mostly gone, now it's time to add in our celery and our carrots that we've been holding till the end.
Roughly, in my case.
You can turn the heat down to medium, and we're gonna mix these in, and then I'm gonna add my parsley, and the parsley is just decoration, right? This is just like icing on this finished dish. It's pretty much finished at this point. I'm just gonna mix it in so that the celery and carrots are part of the dish. I'm gonna turn my heat right off now because mine is done. If you take a look at it, we've got some nice browning there. And the carrots and celery are still quite fresh, so they maintain their color and their crunch, but I'm gonna mix them in so they also pick up the dish's flavor. And here comes my parsley to finish it off. And I'm quite generous with it because it tends to disappear into this dish. So I put in quite a bit, but again, it's totally up to you. And what I like about this dish is if my taster comes out and doesn't like it, it's really quick and easy to adjust. I can add more soy sauce, I can add more honey, I can add more parsley or whatever I need to add based on his taste, as long as I didn't overdo it. But it's a pretty flexible dish for making. We can even add more hot pepper. I wouldn't add whole chili peppers right now. I would add powdered or flaked chili peppers now to this dish if it weren't hot enough. Or ginger powder or garlic powder, that sort of thing. And that's it. It's pretty much done, guys. Then it's just time to eat.
Looks delicious.
Yeah, it's a dish that I cook that my family likes the best. So
It looks really good. I totally want to make this tomorrow.
yeah, and
I've got the recipe now written out.
yeah, and if this works, this whole Zoom thing, I've been recording it, and supposedly I can record this and put it on the website. I'm going to try it tonight, but we'll see. I'm just going to turn off the record because that was a whole cooking session, but we can continue.